on speaker.
Yeah, I think it's.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining me. John, thanks for joining me.
Well, no problem.
Doing pretty good. Everybody, so you know, I got my first coach joining me for an interview. I got Red Bank Regional and New Jersey Bells coach, Coach Truhan. And how's everything going over there with dealing with the virus and all that?
So far, so good. You know, and we're bored but healthy, and we'll take it. How about you guys?
Pretty good. Work's been very busy. You know, actually picked up once the virus hit. Starting to slow down now for the summer months, which is good. Yeah. I watched that interview that you did with Kevin Williams yesterday. Pretty interesting. We'll get more into the basketball stuff a little later, but it was interesting what you said about more contact with the college coaches and sending more stuff out, you know. So, but we can get a little more into that. First, to talk about, now you're a teacher, correct?
Yes, I'm a mathematics teacher at Central Regional High School.
Is that why you texted me about calculus?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, calculus and pre-calculus. And, you know, we all can get better in everything, but especially in virtual teaching, it's very, very challenging for the students, the faculty, administrators. But, you know, we're doing what we can to stay as positive as we can with it and, you know, get them to learn and prepared for college, or for my pre-calc students to be prepared to take calculus next year. So it's been a process.
Yeah, you know, talking to some of these players, one thing I've been stressing, you know, the fact that it changed so abruptly, you know, good for them, you know, when it gets to they get to the college, you know, being able to balance, you know, schoolwork and, you know, basketball or, you know, soccer if they're playing soccer. And learning how to manage your time better instead of just, you know, you're in the classroom, you know, from 8 to 8 or 9 to whatever, you know, you're planning your day out a little bit more and it gives a little bit better time management.
Gives them a sense of responsibility. And again, you know, when I was in college, and most college students would say that you get a syllabus and, you know, this one test or exam or assessment is on one day, midterm, another assessment, and then your final. You're basically just a social security number. It's not like you can have mom or dad call and say, hey, I have a 79. Why didn't I get an 80? Well, you didn't get an 80 because you got a 79. That's going to be the response. That doesn't happen in college. And what's going to, the virtual learning is you set some stuff up that's due, whether it's a couple of days in advance or a week. And, you know, everybody has to learn how to budget their time. And, but again, during this time, the most important thing that I think is to appreciate what you have in between the walls, the confines of your own house, and the communication has to start there. And for everything else to be better, I believe it has to start within those walls, and then everything else should fall into place.
I agree 100%. How long have you been teaching?
27 years. 27
Always at
years
Central High School, or?
No, I've been all over the place. I did my student teaching actually on Sunset Drive at the Juvenile Detention Center in Toms River. Actually, yeah, Allie Carmen's dad is familiar with that. And actually, we're going to do something for the community, for the community around there. We're going to do a basketball outing over there. I think myself and him, we were planning this before, or he was planning this before. I was just fortunate enough to be invited to it, and just like a free, fun day for some of the boys and girls. So I think that should be a great positive thing to look forward to. Hopefully, we can still do that this summer. But I started there, then I went to Toms River South for a few years, and then Colts Neck, and then I came down to Central Regional. So I've had about, you know, out of the 27 years of teaching, I think I've had 13 years of not having tenure. So you learn a lot about yourself. Oh yeah, you learn a lot about yourself, and you try to get hired. You try to get rehired, not to be preventing yourself from being fired. There's a big difference, I believe. So if you're doing what you're supposed to in order to get rehired, it's a totally different philosophy than trying to prevent from getting fired. And I think that that's helped me along the way.
That's great. Actually, talking about Carmen, I'm actually interviewing Allie on Friday. So
she's great. What a great family. And Allie's mom is one of the greatest girls basketball players in the history of the Shore Conference. She really is. She was as good as it gets. She really was. But that family is a special family.
Where did she play?
She played at Southern Regional.
Okay.
She played for one of my dear close friends who left the earth too close, Kathy Snyder,
Okay.
who was a role model for myself and a great ally and just a dear friend. And she left the earth way too early. And Candace will talk more about her. I do an injustice trying to describe all the positive that she had. But, yeah, she was Southern Regional. And I think she believes she played at Georgia Tech also.
And, just that whole family, I got to speak to John a few times this season, seeing him at the games and stuff. And one game I was at for RBC, he wasn't there. And I said, oh, I was so impressed. Wait, Alec played. And, his response, what you don't hear as often anymore is there's always room for improvement. And, you could see the way that whole family works. That's their mindset, that they could always get better. And it was nice to see Alec grow from the beginning of the season just to the end of this season.
John's a big teddy bear, and I love the guy. And he just realized now that it must be tough being the fifth best athlete in your own house, and he played in the NFL.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's a
quarantine. I hope this quarantine stays longer because as soon as it's over, I think he's going to come out and find me after saying that. So make sure give me a heads up when he hears that.
Okay. Now teaching and coaching, a lot of the other coaches I talked to, they intertwine the two. How do you, find the similarities?
I think it's all teaching. I think there is no coaching without teaching. I said, coaching is just a hobby for me. I've been fortunate to coach multiple sports, but teaching mathematics and, starting out at the Juvenile Detention Center, whereas the kids are up there for a long period of times and, some for the rest of their lives, some of the crimes and some of the things that have happened, and some are there for weeks. But if you can get them to focus and, just to teach them that this leads to something else in a positive way, it made it a lot easier for me to be a teacher in the classroom and then eventually a coach.
I could definitely see that. Now you coach soccer?
Excuse me? What was that?
You coach soccer as well?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm the assistant middle school boys coach here at Central, and I've coached I was part of the great girls soccer teams that Ed Gratian was the head coach. I was his assistant in the early 2000s. We won back-to-back overall state titles. And actually, the team, we're getting inducted to the Toms River Hall of Fame this year, but it's going to be delayed till next year, obviously. That was a great experience. I coached my son and my daughter in soccer as they've grown up, and I love coaching soccer. I love coaching anything, basically. It's fun to me. It's a release.
Yeah, soccer. I actually got my coaching license for soccer when I was 16. So
really?
I was helping my dad out with the travel team, and he said, "You're going to get your license." And the Monmouth University, that was 96. The Monmouth University coach actually did my class, and
great.
part of it was I had to watch Monmouth University play when Christy Pierce was on the team.
She wasn't bad, right?
No, she was very impressive. So soccer in my family is the sport we lean to a little bit more. Now, Toms River's, so talented with soccer. It's been, since I was in high school. So, and they're still very talented. I wanted to ask you this. I talked to a couple other coaches. Do you think, rec and the club town teams, they affect, if you have a good program for rec or, travel, that helps feed the high schools, whether it's Toms River or other towns?
Coaching at 4 different high schools, it varies based upon their goals and what their ideals are. Some of them allow them to go to the AAU circuit. Some of them want to hold on to them a little longer in the rec circuit. So that line, when it becomes, what's travel, what's competitive, when it stops becoming everybody gets the equal playing time, that's when the problems occur. However, communication, I've realized in all 4 high schools, is the greatest asset for rec clubs, travel clubs, and AAU affiliated with high school coaches. The great relationship I have at Red Bank right now is with Little Silver, Shrewsbury, and Red Bank, all the sending towns, and we've done clinics just to bolster our program so we get sweats and stuff like that. we've gone and I've done like Thursday night clinics up there in Shrewsbury, Wednesdays up at Little Silver, and just to open it up to the community to try and do something positive and meet the team, because whether they like it or not, male student athletes, female student athletes, they're instant role models.
Yeah.
And I think that them in that leadership role, attitude reflects leadership, and I think that filters down, and that's what we're trying. That's the message we're trying to send.
Yeah, Jordan Keaton, when I interviewed her, actually commented that little kids are there watching, and instantly you become a role model to the little kids when you're playing on the court. And I'll just give an example. My niece, they live in Jackson, and they always my niece did Rachel's little baller camp during the summer last year. I took her to a game this winter, and she was more popular than I was at the game. After the game, the players went up to my niece. How nice to see her, and the smile on my niece's face said it all. Which and I'm glad players today, they see that, and it goes a long way.
Well, that's what it's about. We bring them out for the national anthem, and for the starting lineups, they high five us, and then I bring the kids into the locker room at halftime. I don't care. They come in the locker room at halftime, and they see what's happening. How we're what we're dealing with an opponent, or a different scheme we're going to do, or it's just nice for them to see what's going on and to be part of that, and their eyes just light up, and just to get them closer and more involved with our student athletes is a great asset.
Yeah, I agree. Now, when did you start coaching basketball?
I started coaching basketball. I graduated from the University of Delaware. I was going to be a stockbroker, but after one day I left. That's a long story. So I was a general manager up on the boardwalk for years. I paid my college tuition from working on the boardwalk, and then I always wanted to be a teacher. So I got my mathematics degree, and I minored in economics and stats, or with a concentration in economics and stats. But I always wanted to be a teacher and give back to Tom's River when I started, and because I didn't have a dad growing up. So my teachers, male, female, everybody they were father figures or parents, so to speak, in my mind. And I wanted to give back and be that type of person to certain kids. And that's why I got into teaching. And that was around 1993. I started the Juvenile Detention Center. A gentleman by Bob Coughlin found me. I guess it was 92. Mm-hmm. He said, "You'd be great with kids," because I had to get in order to get certified, I had to do student teaching. And then Mr. Ritako saw that I fulfilled all the requirements, and then he hired me the next year at Tom's River South.
Oh, wow. So you started coaching basketball then?
Yeah, I was a boys coach first. Okay. I volunteered that year, and this is when I met my wife, and I think I sold her a bad batch of goods because I volunteered for the freshman, JV, and varsity. I stayed there from 3:30 to 8 o'clock on game days, and then practices I was just with the varsity. But I didn't get paid, just a volunteer, and I just learned. A gentleman by the name of Bill Hewitt gave me a chance with Joe Arminio, was on the coaching staff, also a good friend of mine. And Bill Hewitt was a teacher of mine and a coach of mine who was like a father figure to me. And then he gave me my chance. I was at High School East. Then I went over to High School South when I started teaching. And then the girls' job opened up at Tom's River South in 99. And I had no intention of coaching girls, but it was probably the best decision I ever made, saying yes to Mr. Ritako and Mr. Lundy when I got the.
Oh, wow. And so Tom's River South, you also coached did you coach at Colts Neck as well?
Yeah, Tom's River South, Colts Neck, Central. Okay. And then I did a year at Caldwell University. There was an opportunity to be an assistant for Christina Danella up there. I loved it. And then she went out to San Francisco State, and I said, "That's it. I'm going to watch my kids play." I'm done coaching, and then Mr. Dalpra at Red Bank gave me a call and said, "Would you be interested?" I went up there, and it was a great decision also.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the Red Bank team in a little bit. When did you start coaching AAU?
I started coaching AAU. My daughter, I think that's about 6-7 years ago. Myself, Tom Brennan, and James Young, we started coaching, I guess, actually when they were in fourth grade. So that's You know, the whole this whole interview makes me realize how old I am, Nick. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. So it's about 8 years ago, and it's a different setting coaching AAU than coaching high school. High school, the players are there, you got them, they try out. Well, I don't make cuts, but they're all in the school, they're on the team. Now you have to make cuts in AAU, and I never made a cut in high school. I just can't do that. So now, and these kids are coming and they're paying to play for that program that you're coaching. You know, they want to play for the New Jersey Bells. They want to play for the Short Shots. They want to play for programs that are going to get them noticed. Yeah. And, you know, we have to do a great job and a better job of showcasing their skills. And that's tough to manage on any level. But, you know, a lot of kids are getting great exposure and they're signing at great schools. But, yeah, I started about 8 years ago coaching AAU.
Yeah, Dave Prawn, he always tells me how AAU is a totally different beast. He's been trying for 2 summers. Well, I mean, this summer no games have been played, but he's been trying to get me to go to some of these AAU events and stuff like that. He said I would enjoy it because the talent of the games are pretty impressive.
My favorite thing about AAU is going to the Nike Tournament Champions in Chicago or any event like that. I mean, there are teams from all over, all types of places from around the globe, and everybody competes against each other. But when the game is over, you're going to see this team that you normally wouldn't see. Like we were playing Arizona, I think, or the game before us, and I was sitting, you know, Donovan McNabb from the Eagles is the assistant coach.
Oh, wow.
And we're, you know, Coach Herb Sendek, who runs the Princeton offense down in Arizona, and he introduced me to the coach he was with. I forget the gentleman's name, but we were picking each other's brains. And, you know, for that one moment, you know, we're on the same level. I mean, here's the great Donovan McNabb just sitting there, just drawing up X's and O's about basketball. And, you know, that's where everything works in that type of setting. It's just a beautiful atmosphere in a great city like Chicago. But unfortunately, we're not going to have that this year.
Yeah. And Jordan also commented when I interviewed her, you know, just being able to, you know, that they're missing out on just traveling with the team, going to dinner with the team, you know, staying at the hotels with the team, which I remember, you know, when I was coaching with my dad, you know, my sister's team, that was a big part when they would go away to these tournaments. And, yep. You know, you get that, you know, family type atmosphere. And, you know, I feel bad for these juniors that are missing out on that.
Now, there may be something down the road, but I don't like saying back to normal because I think it needs to be better than normal. I don't think normal has been working.
I agree.
I think it has to be better than normal. And I think, again, attitude reflects leadership. And, you know, we're going to do our best to get it better than normal. We're going to have to.
Yeah. Before we get into Red Bank and the team, so who are some of the players you've coached in AAU?
In AAU, the players, I guess when they were younger, I mean, I've even done workouts where Passad's teams when they were younger. The ones that are on my team right now, like Jordan Keating and Rachel Capua, you know, Grace Meehan from Middletown South, yep. Vic Palladino and Soph Memon from Middletown North, Jess Thiesing from Colts Neck, and I mean, I'm like the 2 St. John Vianney kids I have, Sienna Bradley and Michaela Drennan. Then I have Emma Bradley from Trinity on there, and the coaches that I've had before then, I mean.
Hey, John, you back?
Hey, you got it?
Yep, we're good.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem, guys. People listening, there's bad weather in the area, so probably got disconnected, but everything's safe, so we're all good. So we can
no worries.
Keep going with you know, some of your players. The
younger ones. I'm sorry.
No,
the other ones that the one I coached with my daughter Christy was a great team. Probably one of my favorite teams coaching ever was Megan Murray from Red Bank. This was when they were in 8th grade.
Okay.
Isla Brennan, Eve from Middletown South. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There's Grace from Middletown South. Teresa Besso was on that team. Jess O'Brien from Howell was on that team.
Okay.
It was just a great group of kids, great families. I'm probably forgetting half of them. So, and then when my daughter was a senior, I had like Brianna Sorrento from Northern Burlington and a bunch of the Lacey kids like Allie Toth. and Haley O. I can't pronounce her last name. I feel I've never pronounced her last name correctly. But I mean, it's just I can't name all of them.
Yeah.
Everyone has made a positive influence on me and made me a better coach, more so than me making them a better player. I can summarize it that way.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about, Rachel and Jordan. Interesting, they committed to the same college, and I think, wonderful. I look forward to, when they get there to be able to catch a few of their games. Talk a little, about those two and, committing, and I think smart with, juniors trying to commit, earlier, with the question mark of AAU at that particular time. What can you say about those two players?
The great thing about NYIT and Coach Kenny, he said that those two, he's the first one to say that those two are different positions where they'll be playing at the same time. The recruiting process that I found is that they were, not used against each other, but they were very similar in the way they play for most coaches, in most coaches' eyes. The great thing, what Kenny saw, what I see, is that they both can be on the floor at the same time, and one could be a 1/2, the other one could be a 2/3. But for them to go to the same school and be able to play together and play on the court at the same time is just a great decision. And they're playing for free. Great system, great area, and it's a great, it's a great decision. I talked to Rachel at Jackson and Glenn at Donovan, had open communication with them, and they agree. It's it should be a great experience for them.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching those two play this season. Jordan, Rachel, like you said, they could be similar, but they could definitely be on the court at the same time.
Yep.
Rachel, always has a smile on her face. It's funny watching her play.
Don't be fooled by that smile. That's evil on the court. Trust me, I love it. It's great.
When I had Bianca and her sister Sarah on a couple weeks ago, and I made the prediction I could see Rachel, top 5 in the show in scoring as a senior next season. Because she knows how to get to the basket and she could shoot from outside. Mm-hmm. And you see a lot of similarity. Jordan, knows how to drive to the basket. You see a lot of similarities with the kids that train with Gary Litton. With that particular, getting to the hoop with that aggressiveness.
Gary's done a great job, especially down here in Ocean County. But what Rachel and Donza should understand is that they should buy Bianca like a new car, because always in the right spot.
Oh yeah,
easy opportunity to score. So I'm a big Bianca Giordano fan. So I'll help with that to try and push her to get a new car.
It's funny. The first game my sister went to this season to see Jackson play, and I was explaining. She knew some of the players from the camp, but she didn't see them play in a game setting. And I was telling her Christina is Rachel, and it was Bianca. She just loved the way she passed the ball, and it is fun to watch Bianca. The way she gets the ball, into the right person's hands at the right spot.
The kid has no off button. None whatsoever. It's always on, and it's at a great pace and a great level. She's going to do well at East Stroudsburg. She definitely is. Yes,
I agree. I got to see Victoria play once. I liked, I only got to see Middletown once, which was, during the States. Mm-hmm. Nice player. I got to, I was a little impressed. I was impressed with her. What can you say about Victoria?
That was the game, the Jackson Liberty game, right? First time I met you. And then, Vic doesn't have an off button either. She really played well that game. She doesn't have an off button. Doesn't now on both ends. She's just relentless, and again, she just has that pace, that energy that most of her teammates feed off of, and again, she makes us coaches look better because of her energy and the way she plays.
Yeah, and out of the other players, I got to see Grace play a couple times. I think she's underrated.
She strong at the end of the year. She really did. She got better as the season went on. Her range increased, and there's some quality schools, Division III, looking at her right now. So hopefully we can get on the court, during the fall or August, and really get them going to get them ready for the high school season too. Yeah.
Let's switch. Let's get to Red Bank a little bit. Yep. Regional. I saw you guys play once last season. I think it was during short conference tournament, I believe.
At the Manasquan game?
Yes, that was the game I was at. And this season I got to see you guys, much more. So you during the WOBM, short conference tournament. I like your team because it seems like every different game somebody else could step up and score. You have a lot of versatility, a lot of outside shooting. Let's talk about a few of your players before we get through the season. Taylor, a very solid point guard. Seemed like in the big, Manchester in the WOBM. How many did she scored over 30 that game, right?
Yeah, she's solid everything, not just the point guard. She was just, when she comes back to come back to her home school, and it's a coach's dream to have a player of that caliber come back. She just did everything that was asked of her, and she expanded her game. I think she had 25 or 33s this year, which is great because players could not stay in, could not keep her in front. So she started really working on her, developing her shot, and especially, this is the first Division I signing at Red Bank. She's going to FDU in quite some time, in 19 years. And I know we have Bridget Tobin, who's a walk-on at Bucknell, but for someone to get that scholarship, to have the focus of Division I colleges following it, it's just a great compliment I give her, and it made us better. She just, the bigger the game, especially in the OBM, she likes that court. She did.
Yeah, and not many players do.
She reminds me of Lauren Clark from Colt Snake, the player I coached. That kid would kill it on that court. She owned that court.
It's weird how shooters that light it up everywhere. Some struggle on that court.
Yes.
During the short conference tournament, Madola went off, right, when you guys played Manchester. I think she had a big game.
She probably had from start to finish the best WOBM Christmas tournament. That Marlboro game, she had 29 in there. And again, we've had 5 starters score at least 21 points in a game. Emma had 21. Caitlin and Chloe had 23 and 24 respectively. Madola had 29, and then Taylor had the 30. But then, like we had Mia Strand come off the bench. She had 17 one game. I think we're the only team that had 4 players average double digits, which is a credit to how unselfish we were.
Yeah, I actually have the stats up from NJ.com right now, and it's just impressive to see, you had Taylor with 367, Chloe with 374, Madola 288, and Caitlin 247. You usually see teams 1-2 players scored at 300 range and then a huge fall off. Yep. And you could really tell the balance your team had. And one stat that came out was Caitlin Decker, 173 assists, it says. Now that's an impressive stat.
She's the glue. She is. You talk about not having an off button. That kid, and she's just as fast as, with Taylor dribbling with her left hand and Caitlin with her right hand, it's 2 of the quickest kids in the backcourt that I've had. And then the length that Chloe presented, getting out in front on top of our press, and, Madola spotting up from anywhere, and Emma just being unselfish too. But it's just what Caitlin got going, she found everybody. And that was something that she took upon herself to be better at as the season went on. And her vision from soccer has really, really overflowed and come onto the basketball court.
Yeah. I actually wanted to comment on that. Today's day and age, you really don't see those multi-sport where they could focus both on, basketball and soccer, between AAU, or academy soccer. Caitlin seems to be one of those players that could play both at a high level.
Yes. Take soccer players any day. I know that, and they've all been multi-sport athletes, all the kids at Red Bank. I think Taylor was an exceptional soccer player also. Chloe's lacrosse, Emma's lacrosse, Mia's tennis, and then, Madola's just basketball. She lives basketball.
Last year, did Murray play both too? Did she play soccer?
She signed Division I. She's a Division I lacrosse player at Penn State. That's
wow. So
she is.
Yeah, lacrosse was not a sport yet when I was in high school. That started right when I was starting to write for one of the newspapers.
Well, that's what everybody misses about it. Chloe is an exceptional lacrosse. We know how good she is as a basketball player, and she's going to shortly somewhere. The division school is going to be lucky to get her, but she's just a tremendous lacrosse player that nobody knows about. And I just the way that she handles herself on the court is you could tell it's a multi-sport athlete. But that kid just, she is really taking her. It just really got better as the season went on.
Yeah, when I go to these games, with my soccer background, I could pick out the ones who play soccer pretty quickly that are on the basketball, just from their defense. The way they play. Just to me, they play with such an aggressiveness when they're playing defense, which I love watching. It's fun to watch when you get those aggressive, defensive players that are really aggressive.
It's a great sport. It is. My son's a freshman at Central Regional, and he played varsity soccer and varsity basketball as a freshman, and he got a lot of time. He started every game in soccer, and he was one of the better, like top 7 or 8 for basketball, and it's just going to make him better being a multi-sport athlete. We haven't chosen anything. We haven't had a chance for the spring yet, but we'll wait and see. But my daughter was the same way. Christy's going to play at Ocean County College. She's going to go back and play soccer. She had an issue with her back, but she seems healthy and ready to go.
Now, hang on 1 second. Just looking at my notes. I want to talk about the state tournament a little bit. First time we got to talk was you were at the Middletown North Liberty game. Now,
you remember what I said to my staff? They wanted to leave, and I said, because we were all set on playing Middletown North, and I said, and I looked at you, David. I said, we can't beat Jackson Liberty the way we were playing. I called it. I just knew that they just had a certain look, a certain edge, a different type of energy, and it seemed like we were a little broken at the time, and that's all on me. But the game that we lost at Red Bank in the quarterfinals is a tribute to how well Jackson Liberty played. Not anything to do with us. They just played. They played great. They were on a mission. The coaching staff prepared them. They knew everything. And I was in awe of the way they played. And I tip my cap to them. There was nothing we did. They did everything.
Well, I saw Maura the night before. She went to watch Jackson Memorial play in the States. And after the game, we talked. I said to them, I go, don't be surprised. I go, tomorrow's a winnable game. Because they got that height, and to me that freshman Aria, when she puts it together, she's going to be one of the unstoppable players by the time she's a senior. She's only 5'5", but she plays like a 7-foot player.
Yeah, they have everything. They have everything, and they remind me of it's just a sleeping giant, Jackson Liberty. I mean, they have a big kid, strong kid in the middle. Laura is just on another level. I love that guy. I've always liked her. I tried to play AAU for me, but she's in a great spot with FCB. And I think the freshman was good. And then they had 2 seniors that didn't want to have their season end. And the coaching staff is just they were focused, and they were great. I'm looking forward to watching them play. Hopefully not against us, but they're a great program on the rise. And I tip my hat to their coaching staff.
I got a lot of grief for saying this, but I see them cracking the top 10, 8, 9, or 10 by that, some point next season.
Oh, absolutely. I think absolutely. I'm not going to give you any crap for that. That's a great statement.
I have a wager with a mutual friend of ours about that they I see. I know what the new divisions are. I looked at it and I said, this team, they're going to beat St. Rose one game. I could see that.
I'll look for that on FanDuel. So if there's any that.
Yeah. So, and I was talking to one of the St. Rose parents, Brent Farrell's father, because he always asks me, because he knows I go to all the games. He asked me about Jackson Liberty, and I said, watch next year. I go, come to a game. I go, come to one of the St. Rose games. I go, Jackson Liberty is going to shock some, going to surprise. I mean, you coached against them, so you're not going to be surprised. But, the fans and stuff.
I watched the Middletown North game. I saw what they did. Middletown North is well coached. I mean, Justin does a great job with them. I had some of those kids in AAU, and that team, they went to Middletown North, a brutal place to play. We lost there last year. And, they took it from them. They went in and they wanted something. They got it, and then they left. That's what they did. They did that in two places, in Middletown North and at Red Bank. And I was very impressed with them, very impressed. But the one positive I will take from that is that Chloe Teeter's display was probably the best game that she's played up to this point. And I'm so excited to have the best seat in the house to watch her play after playing for 4 years at Red Bank. She started every single game for 3 straight years. I don't know if anybody has that right now, but she has started every single game for 3 years, 3 straight years.
Now, looking a little ahead to next season, you have a good core. Oh, excuse me, coming back.
Yeah, losing Taylor is going to be tough.
Yeah,
place a kid like that right away. We're going to need to work. I wish we had a summer to find some things, but Mia Strand is like having a 6th starter. I mean, that kid is one of the best pure shooters I've ever coached, and she's a state champion in tennis. But again, our height. You see how small Chloe's our tallest player, and
yes,
it is what it is. But they run their stuff. They're unselfish, and we're going to need at least 4 in double digits, but we're going to have to defend a little better. And we haven't lost. We've gotten 17, 20, and 21 wins the last 3 years, and that's a credit to the kids. And when I got there was 3 kids: Bridget Tobin, Megan Murray, and Mia Conti, and they've really, really shown this group what it's like to be a leader and to set goals and to achieve goals. And we're really myself and my coaching staff and the entire school is excited for next season. So
yeah, so am I. And it's you mentioned the players that have already graduated. It's always good when they're able to show the younger players how to be a leader. Talking to when I interviewed Georgia Heine, talking about how Faith and Lowe, that was the main thing she wanted to take away from them is how to be a better teammate and leader on the court.
And again, that's an example of kids being instant role models. I mean, a kid like Georgia benefits from that, and Brooke over there, how about she benefits from seeing those kids play. And touched a little bit about Georgia. Georgia gets taller every time I see her. She probably be like 6'5" by the time we play next year. But that's just another great kid. A great family, and they have role models all around them, and Lisa does a good job with them. But there's a lot of great young coaches out there that are good role models for kids, and that's the exciting thing about the Shore Conference. I mean, you have Lisa Dunn and Masquan. I mean, it's just it's amazing what's going on in the Shore Conference. But it makes everybody better.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm glad you brought up coaches being good role models too, because you get one bad coach, that could turn a player off that might have so much talent. And give you a family member of mine played soccer, high level, and senior year, new coach, horrible coach, and didn't want to play anymore. Could have played at the next level. Just said I'm done. And just one coach.
It's so hard. Yeah, no, it's so hard to please everybody in there, and it's coaches aren't in the business. Not to defend that coach, but we're not in the business to make everybody like us. We that's impossible. There's no way. We try to do the right things. I mean, I'm a teacher first. I said that, but more importantly, I'm a father and a husband. First, and what happens here. I like to instill those lessons on young men and women that are growing up, and it's sometimes the message gets through. Sometimes I'm not very good at it. We all need to improve, but that's the thing. If we were in this business to have everybody like us, there would be nobody in this business, because we can't have everybody like us.
No, I agree. It's also, you also hear stories, parents putting too much pressure on kids and, drives them out of sport. Just, people
that's hard. I mean, for administrators and parents just want what's best for their kids, whether they just, do you go to a game and just watch your kid, or you watch the team? I mean, that's it. I find myself, my son and daughter, whether I coach them or I watch them, you try to be objective. And, my son, if he gets, 2 quick fouls, and somebody goes, why did he come out? Like, somebody doesn't know that, he had 2 quick fouls, or that's not a good, any parent that sees their kid or something like that. I mean, it's just such a wide range and different sets of eyes that there's so many different opinions. So if we could turn that more towards a positive atmosphere, I think we'll get that this place better than normal, I hope.
Yeah, I agree. And, like you said, there's so many, talented coaches, good coaches in the Shore. Somebody asked me, where would, if my niece pursued basketball, and I said it'd be tough to say who I want to play for. There's so many good coaches that could teach her. The more important thing is to teaching them about, life.
Yeah.
Not many. How many of these kids are actually going to be able to, play basketball as professionals? It's just, getting them ready for the future and, teaching them how to
If anything,
be good role
if
models.
anything has taught us that, basketball is off to the side now. Again, it starts within the walls of your own house, I believe. And the conversation that we've had here is something that's been missing in my own house because the four of us are all over the place. That's it. But it's been, healthy conversation, and it's, I think we all need more.
I agree. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about 2 years ago, the RBC game. Huge win. Now, I think St. Rose was playing Mondon in the Shore that day. And 2 years ago, only games I went to was St. Rose and Manasquan, just going back from, that's who I covered when I wrote for the newspaper.
Yeah, well, those are
over
two
there.
good teams to pick. I mean, those are the last team standing every year. Nice job, Nick. Great.
Yeah, I wrote for a newspaper from 2000 to 2005, the Co-Star over there, and from work after, my full-time job kind of took over, so I was out of the game for about 10 years and came back, started watching a couple of years ago. And it's actually the first game I actually met Bryn's dad, Mike, and I was so focused because I was, on Twitter getting the updates, seeing Tiny post the updates. And I wasn't even paying attention to the St. Rose game. I just kept saying, "Oh, I should have went to this game. This game looks really exciting," and stuff. Talk a little about that game because that was a pretty big victory for Red Bank.
Yeah, it was like the first time in 24 years. But again, we went in there and we just didn't have any fear. We played well, and we made basically every shot. that was it, and we just wanted to really, knock them down on the canvas. And see if they would get up after the horn went off. So before they realized, I mean, they scored, everybody forgets, they scored 33 points in the fourth quarter of that game. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nobody talks about that. So we held on for dear life. And, Fab, had a 3 to tie it at the buzzer, and it was off, luckily. But it was just a war. It was just a great girls basketball, any basketball game. It was just a tremendous competitive atmosphere. And, it really helped us to get to that 21 win plateau and prepare us for eventually hoping going farther in the States moving forward by beating a team. Again, anytime you can beat a Joe Montano team, your program must be doing something right. So, we're in the right direction.
Yeah, he has some exciting, players. You brought up Fab to me, probably the best defender in the Shore. What she does, defensively.
Yeah, her length imposes. It's it's tough to get over that kid. I mean, you can go right on down the list of players at RBC. They're loaded. They're great, and it's exciting to watch them all advance and play at the next level too. I don't want to play them again. That's it. I want to have our one shining moment, and that's it. So I'm trying to hide from Passat and Carmen. So.
It's funny you bring them up. I brought a family friend when RBC played Manasquan at Manasquan, and he's a very tall guy. He's probably like 6'4", 6'5", and he walked in and he's sort of height on RBC. He's like, no way, these kids are in high school. And then I had to tell him that Allie and Justine are only sophomore.
I know. So I got 2 more years to hide from them. But hey, Nick, this was great, man. I really appreciate it. I'm very humbled by you having me on here. You're doing a great job, and you're great for kids. That's the important thing. And, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You see that, girls coverage, soccer, basketball doesn't get the same recognition as, the boys do. Just trying to, hopefully we could change that.
Yep, keep doing what you're doing. And I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you joining me, John. And I'll see you on the court soon.
Stay well, stay safe. All the best. Thank you.
Yes, you too. Thanks, John.